Hi, I'm Yoshi, and there is my editor Mika, over there, and it is time for another review, but today is a special edition of my normal reviews, my somewhat daily content, and I decided to dedicate every third video throughout the course of this channel and my life to one of the albums that I call one of my personal favorites. And yeah, it is really fun to do a review on your personal favorite album because you get an emotional connection to it. You turn it on a lot, it's replayable, it's not butterfly, it's actually replayable, and yeah, it's fun to review something that you're so familiar with, so I'm going to do so. And I like albums, you like albums, so it's time to review some albums. So, today's favorite is something that will turn 20 soon. It is a 1997 effort from Icelandic singer Bjork. It is titled Homogenic, and very aptly, actually. It is 10 tracks, and there are lots of really irrational comparisons to Radiohead's Kid A, because they're both very depressing, and they both go through different stages of emotion, yet this is better. Anyway, so whereas Kid A is very depressing, this album is very this album's theme is love. It's emotional highs, emotional lows, and there are different sections, distinct sections throughout this album. It's called Homogenic because it's cohesive in the sense that every song sounds similar to the last one, but not similar enough to be boring. In fact, it just all kind of feels like the same vein. It comes from the same fluid project. And once again, track by track run through of the album. Starting with track 1, Hunter. Hunter is a very, very, very creepy kind of piece of music. It is very, there are lots of percussion, lots of electronics, and it sounds a lot like background music for a nature documentary, and not just because of its name. Bjork has very, very, very extremely creepy lyrics and kind of a bit more uneasy vocals, more unhinged sounding vocals. She's more unsure about where she is in the world. And honestly, chord progression is beautiful, and it is a very cinematic track. But it is nothing cinematically compared to the second track, Joga, or however you pronounce it. I'll learn that later. Joga is commonly referred to as Bjork's strongest track ever, and for good reason, I think. Strings are beautiful, it is proto-dubstep in its low end, and honestly, the strings are sweeping and the lyrics beautiful, and it is one of the most catchy songs ever written, and it has many, many stages, very multi-layered track. It goes right into Unravel, which is not a multi-layered track, but just as beautiful melodically. And she sounds a lot more lost in that song, a lot more unsure, but it's a very affectionate piece, just like Joga. And it goes right into Bachelorette, which should be a James Bond theme. That's all I'm going to say. She makes great humor, great funny lyrics, and it's another great love song. They all are. And favorite line, this is probably, I tried to organize freedom, how Scandinavian of me. Very, very interesting choice of words there. And then it goes right into All Neon Light, the 5th track, which is All Neon Light. It's very, very twinkly, very, very Arcade Fire if they were an EDM band. And very beautiful. And then 5 Years comes in which she's starting to be like, like this idiot for 5 years, why was I with him? He's a shitty person. Gosh darn it. And you can hear the anger start to come out in her lyrics, in her voice, her delivery, and the production. And that is the big single in the album that goes right into Immature, in which she self-reflects on how immature she was. Once again, very Unravel-like beautiful melodies in the background, but very, very a lot more sparse, more minimal. And then it goes into Alarm Call, poppiest song on the album, also the song on the album where she says that she's a fucking Buddhist. Great line. And then it goes into Pluto, which would make Trent Reznor cry. It is extremely terrifying. You can feel the earth shatter when you hear it. The bass rattles your brain, and she talks about self-destruction, and it's really depressing. And everything falls apart, and then it's brought back together, and all is full of love, which is about what it sounds like, but it's maybe the most affecting work she's ever done. Strings are perfect, very minimalistic, but her vocal delivery is delivered with such passion, and the optimism in the lyrics really makes you believe that the world's a good place, and then you look at the world, and then it's confirmed that it's not a good place. Ever. So yeah, that's Homogenic. It ends right there with one last cadence of the strings, and it's a very strings-filled album. Overall thoughts? Well, this album, it just sounds like an emotional journey through Bjork. She has many albums like that. Volnicura is one of her finest, but this one sounds like she is going through a relationship, but like really dramatically. It's like an anime representation of relationships. It's very dramatic. It's very, very cinematic, very big in musical landscape, big in scope, and then very minimalistic and really, really honest in other songs, and very, of course, her trademark humor is here. This is probably her, in my opinion, I can't really think of a time in this album where I was bored, where I wasn't like, wow, where I wasn't like, she's really bringing new stuff to the table with every track. And all these tracks are celebrated equally. This is one of the most consistent albums ever, and it really, really earns its title. If I were to grade this album, I'd say it's one of my personal favorites.